The crack of a rifle split the morning air, echoing across the golden fields of wheat. Birds scattered, their wings catching the light of dawn as the sound carried for miles. On the porch of a weather-worn farmhouse, Sarah Whitmore lowered her rifle from her shoulder. Her hands were steady, her breath calm, her eyes narrowed with focus. She had trained for years to control that moment between heartbeat and trigger pull. Out here, though, she wasn't hunting enemies. She was protecting crops from coyotes. Still, the soldier in her never left. Sarah, 35, once wore the uniform of a U.S. Army sniper. Her record was sharp, her reputation sharper. But war had taken more from her than she ever wanted to give. Now she wore worn jeans, mud-stained boots, and a flannel shirt that smelled faintly of earth and hay. She was a farmer, a widow, and most importantly, the single mother of an 11-year-old girl named Emily. Emily was Sarah's light, her reason for trading battlefields for wheat fields. With sandy blonde hair often tied in messy braids and a laugh that could make cows lift their heads in curiosity, Emily had a heart as wide as the Kansas sky. But even light attracts shadows. At school, Emily had become the target of bullies. It started small whispers about her clothes, mocking the way she smelled of hay instead of perfume. Then came laughter when her mom showed up in muddy boots instead of heels. Soon, cruel words turned into shoves, torn notebooks, and bruises Emily tried to hide under long sleeves. One afternoon, Sarah spotted Emily walking up the dirt road toward the farmhouse. Her daughter's backpack was torn, her eyes red, her lips trembling as she tried not to cry. Sarah rushed forward, kneeling in the dust to meet her. "Sweetheart, what happened?" Sarah asked softly. Emily shook her head. "It's nothing." But Sarah saw the truth. The smudged dirt on Emily's cheek, the fear in her eyes. She brushed away the dirt gently with her thumb, her chest tightening. "Who hurt you?" Emily didn't answer. She didn't have to. Sarah had faced enough enemies to recognize pain when she saw it. She wrapped her daughter in her arms, whispering, "Nobody will ever break you. Not while I'm here." And friends, if you're watching this and feel the power of a mother's love, make sure to subscribe to Heartline Stories. Here, we bring you real and imagined tales that cut to the heart of strength, resilience, and the bonds that make us human. The next day, Sarah drove to town to pick Emily up early. She parked near the school, leaning against the truck, when she heard its voices, sharp and mocking. Her heart stopped when she caught Emily's small cry. Behind the gym, 3 older boys had cornered her. One shoved her against the wall. Another sneered, "Farm trash. Bet your mom's just a crazy old soldier." Emily's voice cracked. "Leave me alone." Sarah moved before she even realized it. Years of combat had trained her body to respond faster than thought. She strode forward, her boots striking the pavement, her voice slicing through the air. "Let her go." The boys froze. Sarah's presence was overwhelming, her shoulders squared, her eyes like steel, her tone commanding in a way that left no room for defiance. They smirked at first, puffing their chests with teenage arrogance. "What are you gonna do, lady?" Sarah took one deliberate step closer. "You don't want to find out." Her voice was low, controlled, with the weight of someone who had stared down enemies on foreign soil. Her eyes locked on theirs, steady, unflinching. "Do you know what happens when you corner someone who's trained to never miss?" The words sank in. The bravado cracked. They shoved Emily forward and stumbled back, muttering curses as they fled. Emily collapsed into her mother's arms, tears streaking her cheeks. "Why do they hate me, Mom?" Sarah held her close, her jaw tightening. "They don't hate you. They're afraid of what they don't understand. But they will never touch you again. Not while I'm here." But Sarah knew better. Bullies humiliated once often return more dangerous, hungry to reclaim their power. And she was right. That night, as the farmhouse sat in stillness, Sarah noticed headlights bouncing down the dirt road. She stiffened, instincts sparking. From the porch, she saw a truck idling near the barn, muffled laughter carrying in the night. The same boys, emboldened, reckless. Inside, Emily slept soundly. Sarah whispered a silent promise, kissed her daughter's forehead, and stepped outside. The moon was high, painting the fields silver. Sarah moved like a shadow into the barn, her heart pounding, not with fear, but clarity. She climbed into the hayloft, her eyes scanning. Her rifle, tucked away for years, rested in its case. She hesitated only for a second before pulling it out. The metal felt familiar, like shaking hands with an old friend. She loaded it with calm precision. Every movement was muscle memory. The boys moved toward the barn, whispering threats about teaching the farm girl a lesson. They didn't know who they were walking toward. Through the scope, Sarah watched them, steady breath, steady aim. She didn't want blood. She wanted fear. She fired one shot into a metal trough beside them. The explosion of sound was deafening, the water spraying into the air like shrapnel. The boys screamed, dropping to the ground, scrambling back to their truck. Sarah's voice carried across the field, low and dangerous, "Get off my land. And don't you ever come back." The truck fishtailed as they tore down the dirt road, swallowed by the night. Morning came quietly. Emily woke to find her mom at the kitchen table, disassembling the rifle piece by piece, methodical and calm. She looked up, offered her daughter a soft smile, and brushed her hair back. "You're safe, sweetheart. That's all that matters." Emily's eyes widened. She saw her mom not just as the woman who planted crops and fixed fences, but as someone who carried immense power. A protector who had walked through fire and returned stronger. From that day forward, Emily held her head higher. She spoke louder, laughed brighter. And though Sarah never told anyone what happened, the story spread through town like wildfire. The bullies never returned. Weeks later, Sarah found Emily in the field, holding a toy telescope, peering into the horizon. "What do you see?" Sarah asked. Emily smiled. "The world. And I'm not afraid of it anymore." Sarah's throat tightened. She had seen enough darkness to last a lifetime. But looking at her daughter, she knew her sacrifice was worth it. And friends, if this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Heartline Stories. Every time you do, it helps us bring more stories of love, courage, and hope right to you. Years passed. Emily grew into a young woman, confident and kind. When she told this story, she never focused on the fear, but on the strength of her mother, the single farm mom who stood tall against the world. "They thought we were weak," she would say, her eyes bright with pride. "But they didn't know my mom." The lesson Sarah left her with was simple: strength isn't always about pulling the trigger. Sometimes it's about carrying the weight of the world for the people you love. Sometimes it's about choosing peace when you're capable of war. And sometimes, it's about reminding bullies big or small that courage isn't loud. It's steady. It's unbreakable. And Sarah Whitmore embodied all of it.